Good afternoon. Delegate Neil Parrott here. I'm running for Congress in Maryland's 6th Congressional District. Last night was Super Tuesday, and I want to congratulate President Donald Trump on a big victory. Last night, 15 states had their contest. He won all 15 by large margins. Also, his last competitor, Nikki Haley, just this morning suspended her campaign, which makes President Trump the presumptive nominee for the Republicans for U.S. President. Congratulations, President Trump. Now people have a choice to make, and I'm hoping that people will decide whether that's Republicans, independents, or even a lot of Democrats to get behind President Trump to support him for president. We need to have a change over the last 3 years. President Biden has been there, and unfortunately, our country has gone from a really good position to where we are now in a really bad position. And it's time for that change. I just have a couple points that I wanted to talk with you about. One is the border. Since President Biden has been there, an unprecedented number of illegal aliens have crossed into our country, over 7.2 million. That's over the population of the whole state of Maryland. Imagine that. Everybody who lives in Maryland crossing the border illegally to come into our country. That is simply unacceptable. It's not right. It's a violation of existing immigration law. We need to enforce our border. A couple other things that are happening. Because of the open border, fentanyl is crossing into our country without being controlled, causing the deaths of Americans every single day. This must be stopped. Also, human trafficking. There's no control. Little children are coming across the border against their wills. Other people who are being controlled by others are being human trafficked to American cities all across the country because of the open border. We've got to stop that from happening. Lastly, on the border, we have people on the known terrorist watch list that have crossed into this country, but how many have crossed in that we haven't caught, that we didn't know were here? And so now we have terrorists in different cities all across the United States. For the safety of our country and for the goodness of our country, we've got to close the border. One more thing I want to talk about is economics. With President Biden, there's been uncontrolled spending, and as a result, inflation has had a 40-year high, and the American family now has to spend $11,000 more per year. So our cost of living has decreased by $11,000 per year. So if you didn't get an $11,000 raise over the last 3 years, you took a pay cut. That is unacceptable. We have to make sure that Americans are able to have a good standard of living, and that requires the government to be financially responsible. And unfortunately, with this reckless spending, they just haven't been. And it's time for Congress to rein in the spending, and it's time for a new president, President Trump, to come in and help rein in the spending so that we can have a better quality of life. We also need to make sure that our police are supported. Unfortunately, right now, many leading Democrats are trying to tie policemen's hands behind their back. They're not allowing them to do the work they need to do to make sure that our communities are safe. Just think about Montgomery County, Maryland, where they've kicked policemen out of the schools. That doesn't make any sense. They need to be there to protect the children in the schools. Also in Montgomery County, we've seen just from last year, carjackings have increased 28.6%. and thefts of cars by 131%. This is simply unacceptable. We need to support the police so that our families can be protected and the police can do the job that they need to do. Internationally, the United States is now viewed as weak. We've always been viewed as strong, but because of President Biden, he had an arbitrary date where he said we have to get all of our troops out of Afghanistan by this certain date. And by golly, he did it. But he did it by leaving billions of dollars of equipment. He did it by leaving even U.S. citizens and allies to the U.S. back behind in Afghanistan. That showed weakness to the entire world. As a result, Russia thought they had a free check to go in to the Ukraine, and that war happened and is still going on. Also, Israel was attacked ruthlessly by Hamas. Again, they reviewed the United States as weak. We need to be strong. Peace through strength needs to return to America. I think President Trump will be the one to help us have not only the actual strength through our military, but a strong leadership to make sure the world knows we are going to lead and we're going to help have a stable world. So the environment is one other thing I want to talk about. We need to make sure we take care of the environment. However, there are people in D.C. who want to take away our rights. Now that is not right. They've done many different regulations in the name of the environment that actually hurt the environment. For instance, dishwashers can only use a certain amount of water. Well, a lot of people then have gone away from dishwashers and they're just doing it on their own, which takes a lot more water than a dishwasher would. That's just backwards thinking. Also, they're talking about getting rid of gas ranges. That's natural gas, trying to get rid of that in our houses. That's one of the easiest and best ways to cook food. That's not acceptable. Americans, this is about freedom. We should be able to choose what kind of products we want and what kind of products we don't want. Lastly, on just this issue, by the year 2035, Maryland wants to get rid of all gasoline-powered cars and say that you can only buy new cars that are electric-powered. That does not make sense. I'm an engineer. The electric grid cannot handle this new load from electricity. It certainly cannot, and it's not practical. Those kind of decisions need to go away, and we need leadership in D.C. to say, no, the states cannot take away the rights of people, take away their freedoms, and control what they're buying for no good benefit. I'm Neil Parrott. I'm running for U.S. Congress. I'd like your support. I do want to say thank you to everyone who's supported me so far, and also I want to congratulate President Trump on being our nominee. He's got my full support. I hope he has your full support. Let's move forward and let's help our country. May God bless you, and may God bless the United States of America. Thank you.